This is day 1033 of the Arukh HaShulchan Yomi. If you'd like to sponsor Arukh HaShulchan upcoming shir or more of the Arukh HaShulchan Yomi, please come me directly. It'd be greatly appreciated. Today we are doing Siman Pei Hey. Your day is in Pei Hey. Ches to Yudalit. We're talking about, of course, Hagomim. We've explained all the prohibited types of Torah forbade for us. Gambam, economy is about cultivating the bells of Shavas, and previously we explained all the alternatives of Shavas. Yesh Tadim Klalim Shesh Bistui Machos. I guess we're finished Hilchos Chavavim. And the general principles. Zel Shana Rambam. Reish Perek Yudal Machos Asuras. Rambam writes, Koisem Machos Shebetor Shiurim B'Kizayis Beinoni. All the prohibited substances in the Torah, which are one is not allowed to eat, the shear to violate the prohibition is average size olives, ben lamalkos, ben lakazaris, where depending on the nature of the prohibition, whether to get whipped or to get kores, ben l'b'stei or to be killed in the hands of heaven, and anybody who is required, who does violate a kores or mitzvah d'shamayim gets malchus as well. And this measure, all the measurements in the Torah are lachem Moshe misinahem. It's still, nevertheless, although that's the shir to be chayav, so to speak, liable to penalty, that it's still also to eat even a small amount, the smallest amount of any prohibited substances. But don't get malchus unless you eat a kazayis. If you ate a kosher, which is less than the share, then we give you malchus the rabbanon. End quote for the Rambam. That which you wrote that all prohibited for eating is in the kazayis. So a robed one. That's most things. There's something which are exception to the rule. The 8 shrotzim mentioned in the Torah, which are kind of like rodents for the most part. Shurim b'chadosh, their shear is the measure of a lentil. Like you saw in the previous simon. Which were an average olive, Kain wa Mishnah Kalim, Perek Yud Zayin, Mishnah Ches. The Tanan, it says there, the Kazayis they said, Lo Gotav Lo Katan, not large one nor small, El Beinoni, but an average one. So a guri, it's called a guri olive. Shishimna Oga B'tucha, which means that its oil is collected within it. It's not absorbed in the fruit in the same way kamash tapuchim, like the apple juice, betutim, or a berry juice. El kamash kanovi, more like a grape. Well, I don't exactly understand the difference, but that's the distinction. I'm not sure the Rambam left this out. Nearly in other words, why leave out the concept about guri? Aguri was, although perhaps it describes what how the olive's oil is inside, but an alternative, or perhaps linked, is that it's the name of a place. It was and that was the name of the place at that time. And every point in history, you have to know what's been the average olive at that time. In practice, it says, says its not name. His name is not actually a gur. His name is Avruti. So actually, Avruti is the real name, and that's the name of the place. And Aguri is just a variation of the theme to indicate that it also has this way of its holding its oil. Test Amru Chazal. Chazal say it. So Perkira Nosha. The Torah makes it liable for Kazayis prohibition. This is if his throat has the pleasure of Kazayis, even if his stomach does not receive a Kazayis. Famous case, you ate a half a Zayis Vikio and you regurgitated it Chazav achal chatzi zayis, and then you ate another chatzi zayis. Abishu b'mei of loya shnei pamim. Even though in the net result in the stomach is only half a gazais, his throat got the pleasure of a gazais. The low below now that even you ate the same ham which you regurgitated chayav. The bottom line is his throat had the pleasure to have zaysim. The ma shoya shor kala b'mayim, that which was in the stomach for a short amount of time, lo nashav equal seconds to be digested, which you consider like dirt, and therefore that it doesn't join up and make the shear. Nana grown up a gazais. The bottom line is that his throat had the pleasure of a gazais. People therefore mechasal sham shafil im nishar mat me'azais ben achin nechaim. If the olive remains among the gums, find a chech shom meaning his palate, v'loyer ad me'ayim, it doesn't go down to his stomach. Kazai shalim, not a full kazai does not go down to his stomach. Kom chaim, nevertheless he's liable. Shrei ichbechech ochel yitam lo. The palate food is tasted by it. V'nana grono, and his throat gets the pleasure. Because but that which remains between the teeth. Don't join the kazais. The masha ben yishnaim ain't a grown enemy menu. Is that? Whereas between the teeth, the throat does not derive pleasure from it. The bracket says here, I am Ramam Sham Din Mi Beis, Vankas a Mishnah Dvar Psuchiyim. Ach Masha Tama Magir Sham Raman Tosu Shara Papa Mar Bein Shneit Kuyama Lo Plige. Everybody agrees that between the teeth is not considered to be having derived Vanoah. Yud Vidashi Yeshlon Binyan Shlek She'elos Gedolos. We have great questions in this. We learned that the Kohen Shinasa Truma Tochbib, a Kohen put Truma into his mouth. Manolo Shen Kohen, then he found he's not a Kohen. Gon Shoya Eved Kohen Virabo Machol, he saw such as he was the slave of a Kohen, and his master sold him to a regular Jew. Vadain Lo Bala Truma has he had to swallow the Truma. Abelezer May Yivlar, Abelezer says he should swallow it. Rishon May Yivlar, Rishon says he should regurgitate it. Came no Shutame, so that he found your Tame, or Shachuma Tameo, or the Truma's Tame, you float, you should spit it out. The Rabbi Lezer ain't a chokas. Rabbi Lezer doesn't argue. It says Yerushalmi the time Rabbi Lezer rationale Rabbi Lezer is mishum the skill beheter since he started eating it beheter, so therefore he can swallow it. But maybe Yerushalmi Brisa the Rabbi Nosson cholekazeh. Yerushalmi brings down Brisa which Rabbi Nosson argues on this. Time we learned as in that Brisa Rabbi Nosson lo shar Rabbi Lezer mishum shit beheter. It's not Rabbi Lezer holds. It's because he began eating a better. El Shei Rabbi Lezer Omer halaus kivalua. Rabbi Lezer holds that which is chewed up is as if it's swallowed. But Shabbos Kain, and this is true also so by Shabbos. Up at Pesach also by Pesach. Up Yukur Kain so also Yom Kippur. Up in Nazir Kain so by Nazir. Up in Nevelos so by Nevelos. By unkosher meat, the carcasses. Up Sheos by meat which is treif. Ak Mishkatzim once again so too by creepy crawly things. Akal Journal end quote. The time Rabbi Lezer, the logical Rabbi Lezer, came to Shalah Samachon once he chewed up the food. Haray Nana grown his throat has the right benefit. I jump. Zegas first, that's like our throat. Shekosabnu Shal Torah Chiba Anasgar. We wrote the Torah made you liable on the pleasure of the throat. Absolutely Nichas maybe no, it didn't get into your stomach. Can Amanan look Rabbi Lezer. Well, in that case, we hold now like Rabbi Lezer. It's called God holds a great principle. Rabbi Yeshua is passing Rabbi Yeshua. Came pas Ram Perkim Michu Masal Ayin Sham Ram Basat's way. For that feel Rabbi Lezer ain't El Rabbi Nosson. Also, even Rabbi Lezer Svara only goes to Rabbi Nosson. So the question is that it seems that Hanos Garon, according to Rabbi Lezer, is that's going only goes to Rabbi Lezer, not according to Rabbanan. According to Rabbanan, knows Meyav. So I might have said Zesha Bishul Cholik. The reason Rabbi Shua argues who mitama dadain lo bal class because he didn't swallow it at all. It doesn't have to get stomach. I mean, if he swallowed it and regurgitated, Rabbi Shua made that he's chayav. Abli Shafi had time that knows going loyal and chag ben bala lo bala. Even though, truth be told, if we're talking about the issue of Hanozgar, whether it's make swallows or not, the soap's already grown on Nana. Found out this his throat dried pleasure. Can't come never blow bleed without swallowing it. Ain't shame achila on it. There's no shame achila on it. just because it's gone to your mouth. Rakshay Manor only has the concept of Hanoah. But Hanoah below Achila, and when Hanoah, where there is no food eating, Lo Chiva Torah Malchus, Torah does not require you to get Malchus. The bracket says here, Ayin Shom B'nei Moshe Kosav Liyon Tzor Shabbos, in terms of taking the stuff out of your mouth on Shabbos. Shach Divrei Rasha, you forget, got the Rasha Birish Linyan, Tolish B'muktzeh, has to do with plucking something from a designated, from a muktzeh, from a designated place. Umela the koma mashkos b'maraponim beinakin. So whatever you wrote in the maraponim is not true. V'gam mashapir shadvorim kach the soper gina nosha iv shamar again k'moshe b'am sad ishmaya v'duk whatever he says. Now, if you need to have a brachos immediately in kindness, the brachos to say in terms of the fasting, the toim atam shel, if you taste the dish, it's nothing. Pishah was saying the boleh plate. You swallow and you regurgitate. That's tasting. Bracha. So to bracha, time matemes ain't tzarich bracha. We're just tasting. Doesn't need a bracha. So it's regurgitating. Even though it has hano, even though we have hano by tasting it, ain't kind of chil. Never it's called, not called eating it. This is in concurrence with what we wrote. As long as food doesn't enter into his innards, it's not going to have a name of Achila. In this case, why do we connect this with whatever's in the gums, which never was swallowed? It doesn't reach the stomach at all. Since the primary part of this kazais went down into the stomach. It's got a name of Achila. Even a little bit did not go down. It says, I know in the entire kazais, you're chayav. The time is the reason says the Torah chiva achilas kazayis. The Torah require a may you obligate to eat kazayis. Ain't achila below hana, and there's no eating without pleasure. But derech achila lishar b'malchinai, and the way in which you eat, the derech is something that remains in the gums. So because achilas kazayis, it's kind of like a good achis, anything in the palate, as if it connects to that which is in the miyayim. Still eating kazayis when there's a bit among the gums. How much of it? Shine what's in between the teeth came in him as that cloud. There's no benefit from that at all. It's on the contrary. There are also things which don't get even between the teeth, such as a beverage and a soft food. Maybe that's the time of kazayis. You don't have to join them. You can't join them to a kazayis. I guess because they're not chewed up at all. Yud Beis. Vodi Yesh Lanu Shol. The name Bagmar Bir Lanu. Mar explains. We should ask. The Gemara says, "Linyan achilos iser." In terms of prohibited eating, Shematar Mashu Ben Echinaim include that which is between the gums. What about eating a mitzvah eating? Come on, matzah, mora, pesach, matzah, mora, korban pesach, hummus, anything we may have a mitzvah to eat. The obligation by eating kazayis together with whatever's in the palate, between the gums. What if you ate a half a size of matzah? We can't regurgitate it. You ate it again. Let's say the chavas matzah allowed. You feel the chiva matzah or not. Yerushalmi says in Pesach, that's the case, no proof. It's not coming also a chametz to Pesach. It's going to the prohibition of Pesach, not eating chametz. It's only about being liable, blowing matzah now in terms of the obligation of matzah. There's no svaratim to distinguish between the Isser and the mitzvah. So we can bring some evidence for this. Yud Gimel. One of the Gedolim wrote the Ian Bickerson Muslim in terms of benching the seed of Savata, they have to be satisfied. Your guts have to be satisfied. So whatever's between the gums, it doesn't work. Means evidence to the language of Russian brachas. as we brought, because it ain't a bracha b'toim ufolit, that you don't have to make a bracha when you taste and spit out. I feel yosem revis, it's more than revis. Shemin anaz mayim, because you have to have the pleasure of the stomach. Hein sham. Nina red aim is a rayakla. Arukh HaShulchan says this is doesn't think it's evidence at all. The Lefi Masha B'Yan Sham, in terms of what we explained there, the Inyan Kol Yisurim, that Gamli Kol Yisurim being on Nos Miyayim, in terms of all the prohibitions, and also pleasure of the stomach. The below if not Lo Mechayev, it's not liable. Lo Mikri Achilokah, it's not called eating at all. V'rak Sheish HaNos Miyayim. If there is pleasure in the stomach, we join together with whatever's between the gums. It says you should be satisfied. The Chazal already expounded with Sabata, Shasil, the Shir Beitza. Sabata, the Chiyadorais is either if you drank as well as ate, or you had a Shir of a Kibetza. For some, they said the Gazais ain't Mechlal Gazais is not considered to be being satisfied. Von front of a deep disag that the Mishuna Dim Berison is called Davar. You're going to say because it was different Mimne Sabata, because it says Sabata Lamalo Shazal Sabata Ochi. My Chazal Dash is Sabat for that purpose. About it ain't Berison was a Chum, because Var must say Berison was no different anything else, and Kibechin is Mashim to Gazais. The bracket says here, Aron Chasim Soifer, or Chaim, Shebi's a shame is my point. Because I'm Muslim, be called Davar. He wants to say, I guess, that it is different than everything else. Okay, you doubt. All the base also Garo. All the base also Garo. Sorry, I saw also Garo Shakasav that he wrote. Maybe this is the Chazm Service quoting. I don't know if we ever quoted Chazm before. Probably did, I just don't remember. Shakasav in Yom Kippur in the Tzarech Kosev turns Yom Kippur that you need the shear of a date. We don't connect, including that with the between the teeth. Shim Dechsivka says, I shall lo suneh. You're liable if you were not afflicted. So long as it doesn't get into your stomach, doesn't remove the affliction. So you're still okay. I'm astounded at this. It's like Chazal have a Masorah, Lushiyah's eyes, in terms of the measurement of the eyes. But Kol Yisrael, all prohibited senses, we join also whatever's between the gums. V'shem Achilas Mosen Hazen, this has the name of eating food. Therefore, they were also Makabel, the Machila Kegosez Yom Kippurim. They ate it because the size of Yom Kippur, the affliction goes off. After you started, even including that which is in the gums. Okay. Also, I've answered that's not the case, like this girl said. I don't join together what's Bein HaChanichaim. Mash Amru Chazal, now which Chazal said, Yoma, the Shinu Chazal changed. But Yishur the Yom Kippur and the Shir of Yom Kippur, Shir Kol Yisurim, from the Shir of all other prohibited substances. The Chol Yisurim, all the prohibited substances are kazais. Yom Kippur and Kasev, Yom Kippur is the size of a date. The says lo suneh, so which is not afflicted is punished, not so which ate. Every day also garo. If it was that girl was correct, have a little shas lomar. The Gemara said the times that ganki mishuna. There's another way which it's different. The shiro. It's different. That we don't join together, whereas between the gums. Also, the Yushalmi brought down the Elad Yom Kippur Shabbat Chol Yisrael. Yom Kippur is equivalent to all the other prohibitions. Shema Nisfei Leidl Isa have a Kabila. Those who hold that swallowing is like that chewing is like swallowing. Or first, he says explicitly the Gamli Inyan Yom Kippur Kenu. Says Yom Kippur parameters are also the same. So according to us also the Isa Eina B'Kibliya. That chewing is not like swallowing. Except to the point that you connect with that which is between the gums. Yom Kippur Kenu, that would also be like Yom Kippur. Back says here, Yom Kippur is different. It's astonishing. Adrabah, on the contrary, Yerushalmi Hulu Hefek. Yerushalmi is the opposite. Recently, Ksubas Dav Laman Alva Gonev Chelva V'Chlei V'Lamar Gonev Lachmo B'Yom Kippurim. If you stole chalev, and if you stole bread, Shem Yom Kippur Tzarich Yiridas Me'ayin. Ayin Shem Yom Kippur Yom Chai, but goes down to your stomach. Levad Shehu Raya Chalisha. Besides that, it's a loud weak raya and a right club. It's not right off. He always has to go down to the stomach. But the place is the stomach, is the place in the throat. By definition, the place where you can't regurgitate in it anymore. That's called going down the stomach. Buck echo ever comes down all at once. Ayin Sham Fatuk.